Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're taking a look at who is Manu Koné and why he could be Erik Ten Hag's all-action destroyer. If you're new around here, check out SofaScore, link in the description below. Of course, subscribe if you're new. Like that goddamn video. Anyway, let's dive in. Manchester United have been linked with a number of defensive midfielders over the summer. A number of good quality footballers that play the position well. But I think we've got to dive into that. We've got one that I quite like to talk about. So Manchester United need to sign two defensive midfielders in the summer for me. Whether you're bringing in a Milinkovic-Savic or a Frankie de Jong, I think you still are required to bring in another defensive midfielder. United have got to strengthen that zone. Pogba and Matic are going out, so United need to look at that. So the latest player that's been linked with Manchester United, a player that came onto my radar this season, Manu Koné. Manu Koné jumped onto the radar versus Bayern Munich. Had a man-of-match performance against them in the German Cup and then excelled in a Bundesliga game away in Bavaria. The big thing about Manu Koné, what I liked about him is the ability to mix it with some of the best players in the world in terms of the pressing, the aggression, winning the ball back, escaping pressure as well. He did it really well against Bayern Munich. Of course, this is coming from L'Équipe. Manu Koné is attracting attention from Manchester United. According to reports, Ralf Rangnick was the one that sort of brought Manu Koné up to Manchester United. And he's a player that I think would be really, really top quality in the Manchester United midfield. He's also linked with the likes of Atletico Madrid and Juventus. The 21-year-old signed from Toulouse last summer, has scored twice in 27 Bundesliga appearances as Gladbach finished 10th in the league. In terms of Manchester United, they're out on the market for, a Manu Koné type player. Why would you buy a Bissouma in the Premier League when you can buy a younger version that could potentially have a higher ceiling than Bissouma? I think that's my big point with Bissouma. I think he's a really good Premier League player, but at the same time, when you can sign a better younger version that could have a higher peak when coached from a decent coach in Erik Ten Hag from a young age. That is something that I'd look at, and as well, you're looking at the value as well. You're probably going to be able to snap him up for a much cheaper price than bringing Bissouma from the Premier League. So in terms of the basic statistics for Manu Koné, 21 years old, just turned 21. I'd describe him as an all-action destroyer. His skill set of that of a technical athlete, which is where football's going. Strong, athletic, powerful runner with a good turn of pace. That's something that kind of strikes at me when you watch him play. He's very good at getting back in. If a team's been bypassed or the midfield's been bypassed, he has that pace to shuttle out wide or drop back and win the ball back. Got a soft first touch, excellent close control, which makes him a good dribbler. Got nice feet. He's got that kind of Iniesta move, one foot to the other foot through the challenge and driving through. Decent passing range, composed on the ball, but that could definitely be improved. But he does make quite good last-minute decisions to escape pressure. Statistically, if you look at him from a stats perspective, is similar to N'Golo Kante at Chelsea, which, again, is a big thing to kind of talk about in that sense. He's got a profile that's similar. Excellent ball winner, especially when tackling dribblers. Keeps passing short and simple, but has the ability to dribble past players. He ranks in the top 8% of central midfielders for successful pressures at 7.87%. His press success rate is at one of the best in Europe at 38.2% in midfield. Tackles plus interceptions is rocking at 3.6, and his dribble completed around just under 2 per game. I think that's the big thing with him as a footballer. It's this kind of all-action player that you kind of love to see. As I mentioned, the good performances against Bayern Munich, second to last game of the season, a fantastic performance against RB Leipzig. Tedesco's Leipzig are very, very aggressive with how they press in central midfield. And to finish the game with a 94% pass accuracy, completing 6 out of your 7 dribbles, winning 4 out of your 4 tackles, is exactly what you'd want in a central midfielder. So moving on to the two really impressive games of the season, came against Bayern Munich in the 5-0 win, which was one of the biggest shocks of the season. Grabbed himself a goal really early on in the game, supported an attack well, won a second ball and then finished. But I think the other thing that I liked about him was his ability to kind of drift over to that left-hand side and support the left wing back. He did that superbly, shutting down Bayern Munich's right-hand side, which was Serge Gnabry that afternoon. Won 3 out of 3 of his tackles, made 3 interceptions. And again, the big thing I talk about, duels, won 10 out of his 14 duels, 6 out of 6 of his dribbles completed. When you're playing against a Nagelsmann side, you're going to get pressed. Manu Koné escaped that pressure over and over and over again. We take that as one of the examples of a game where he's really impressed me. The other one was the game against Bayern Munich a little bit later on in the Bundesliga, again, beating Bayern 2-1. Gladbach literally are their bogeymen. It's quite funny to see. Manu Koné, that game, I think he provided a lot of quality. Again, in aggressive pressing position. Won 10 out of his 14 duels again. 7 interceptions, 3 out of 3 tackles won. Won the ball back supremely well and carried again really well. 4 out of his 5 dribbles. I think that's a big thing with a player of his ilk, is that you've got that kind of two-way part to your game. You win the ball back, you carry through pretty well, but also you keep your passing numbers up nice and high. In terms of where he would work for Manchester United, let's take a look at how tactically he could set up. Again, Man United are probably going to play a 4-2-3-1 under Erik Ten Hag that will move to a kind of 4-1-4-1 in possession, with the number 8 moving into midfield. I think for Manchester United, as I mentioned before, 2 midfielders very, very important. So if United wanted to build a midfield with that kind of value, Frankie de Jong could be brought in for around 60 million quid. You've got that playmaker, you've got the guy that's on the ball, that's going to be able to carry through, that plays like a libero, that controls the tempo of a game. And then you've got someone like a Manu Koné that can provide that aggression in midfield, but also the work rate to move into that attacking line, then drop back. I think his feet are very, very good. Where, of course, Manu Koné would have to improve is in the final third. His playmaking is not at the top level yet. You wouldn't say that that's one of his biggest strengths. So he's a hole there. He's got a bit of a hole in terms of his goal scoring. But the big thing for me that struck me with someone like a Manu Koné, his best performances of the season came against the best teams in Germany. So if he can perform that well against the best teams in Germany, all it is for him to become a top player is the consistency. That's still a question mark, and that's why Man United would be able to get him for a much cheaper fee than a Declan Rice or a Sergio Milinkovic-Savic. You've got a very raw player there that's got a lot of work to do on his game to become a complete player, a complete footballer, but the raw material is there. Alternatively, if you wanted to go more of a Xavi Barcelona vibe, Frankie could play higher as that kind of advanced, number 8 that moves from deep to high, and Koné could just anchor that midfield and win the ball back and, distribute the ball and interchange with the centre-backs when they dribble out. I think that could be a position for him as well. And I think that's what excites me about someone like a Manu Koné versus a Bissouma. Bissouma is there. This is Bissouma right now. He's a ball-winning midfielder that's good in possession. Manu Koné could be a number of different things for United. Could be this all-action destroyer he is right now. Could be a box-to-box midfielder that gets into that attacking third like a Frank Kessie. That would be the model that I would look to build him out of. And with Erik Ten Hag, Man United are going to be a very, very good football team. So signing someone like Manu Koné for a cheaper price from the Bundesliga makes a lot of sense. Thanks for watching, guys. Do you think Manu Koné is the perfect man to anchor Erik Ten Hag's midfield, or play as a box-to-box number 8? Get into the comments below. I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you are new. We'll see you later.